Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone.
It is so nice to be on stage among beautiful people like yourselves, creative, artistic, all under one roof. Beautiful. Is that so, Steve?
Yeah.
One thing I want to do is take a photo, a selfie, because my brother is always in the limelight, and I'm not. So I want to take a selfie with you guys in the background, and that is my, even if it's 10 seconds of fame, it's good enough for me. So, okay. Do you want to be in the selfie? I mean, you know, you've been here since 9 o'clock this morning. So the spotlight is on you, and you've had all the attention on you. So you go and stand over there, and I'll just take a selfie with just me and the crowd. Okay, thank you. That's my 10 seconds of fame. Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve. Okay, so do I have a clicker?
Yes, you do.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so my brother was born in '74, born to parents of West Indian background. Our mother is of St. Lucian background. Our father is from Barbados. And Stephen was born mute until the age of 5 years of age, where he was diagnosed with autism. However, because there was no communication, Stephen started drawing from the age of 3. And this is where the language of art started. So his translation of speaking, if you like, was through drawing. So you went to the Queen's Mill School
yes.
in London, and they discovered that Stephen had this amazing talent where he could do drawings that were like a 12-year-old, and he was only 5 years of age. So they used to have what they used to call Cadbury's competition every year at school, and Stephen would always win. And then it got into the local newspaper, and the local newspaper got very suspicious because underneath it would say Stephen Wiltshire, 5 years old, but then you would see these pictures of illustrations that looked like it was done by someone of 15 years of age. So they intervened, and boom, that's how it started. Stephen got massive acclaim, and the attention started from there. And then we had the director of the Royal Academy of Arts in London. He got involved, called Sir Hugh Casson, and actually stated that Stephen was probably one of the best child artists in London. And we followed it up. You continued to do your journey. And this is Stephen. And what age were you here, Stephen?
I was about 5 years old.
Yeah.
First time I came to Queen's Mill School.
Yeah. And what have you got in your mouth? What are you stuffing in your mouth? Is that a chocolate?
No, it's a whistle.
A whistle, okay. You're pretending to be a police cop.
Yeah,
okay.
I was pretending.
Yeah. Yes, not working. Okay, so then from Queen's Mill School, you went on to, this is another picture.
Yeah,
This is a very iconic picture because this is what made Stephen very famous. And this is St. Pancras.
St. Pancras Station from the memory.
Yeah, and this is a very significant and iconic station in London. But the reason it became famous because Stephen did it back to front. It was a mirror image. And they were fascinated with this because of the number of windows and number of floors, and realized that Stephen was able to memorize this and get this so accurate that when they went back and they counted the floors and the windows, it was absolutely 100% accurate. Up to now, I have no idea how you do this. And if I did, yeah, we would be living at large, I think. But the point of the story is that, you know, we're a humble family, and we didn't have much. And it was very difficult back in the early 70s, mid-70s, because autism had just come about. There was no schools, there were no books, there was nothing to give you some journey, some guide to let you know how do you treat this condition. We were kind of pushed back in the backdrop and pretty much left to deal with it ourselves. But Stephen is a great believer in what he does, and he believed in his talent. He didn't know that he had this talent, he just knew that he had to draw. And as family, as we all do, we wanted to support that. And as his sister, you know, I'm his speaker, I speak for him. But his drawing speaks for itself. We have a gallery in London, and we've been running for 14 years now. And we're in the heart of London, Haymarket, between Haymarket and Pall Mall. And it was quite funny, actually, because I wanted to open a beauty salon. And, well, they declined. They didn't think it was interesting enough to take me on. So I thought, well, what do I do with this premises? I fell in love with it. It's in one of the oldest arcades in London. It's called the Royal Opera Arcade. And then I thought, you know what, why don't we open a gallery? Because people from all over the world are always asking, where can we see Stephen's work? How can we get in touch? How can we commission a drawing, and so forth? So we opened the gallery. We told them that we was buying a car. The bank manager gave us a loan, thinking we bought a car, and we opened the gallery instead. And 14 years later, we're still standing. So what about this one, Steve? You look very attractive there with your beanie hat.
Me. I was 17 years old at the Grand Canyon in Arizona in America.
Now, I wasn't with you on this trip because I was still at school, unfortunately. You know, you was living it up in the Americas. But, yeah, you look like you're having a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me and Dustin Hoffman. Rain Man meets Rain Boy.
And how... Had to be. And how old were you there, Steve?
15.
15 years old. And what was Dustin Hoffman like?
He's a nice guy. He was only 52 years old.
Yeah. Well, yeah, looks it. There's still hope. And where are you here?
That's from 3 years ago. I was in Rotherhithe in the Canada waters in view of Canary Wharf in London.
Now that's one of your favorite buildings in London, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
And you actually laid a brick there as well, didn't you?
Brick?
Yeah, you put the first brick on the Canary Wharf when they were building
that was from about 29 years ago.
That's
I was about 15 or 16 years old.
That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. Yeah. Now this is pretty cool.
That's in Tokyo.
Now this is a 10-meter long panorama, and it took Stephen 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah. Now this is one of the first panoramas that Stephen tackled for memory. And this is actually quite an exciting story because Stephen went up in the helicopter for 45 minutes. And when he came back, there was actually an obstacle that was in the way that Stephen couldn't actually see properly because we went on to the Roppongi Hills on top of the high-rise building to see that. And because of that obstacle, we then had to go into, you went in a helicopter flight so that he could see the area where the obstacle was. And when he finished the drawing, the film crew didn't believe that there was a sign that he put, and they said, oh, he just made that up because that's not there. And I said to him, I said, look, you know, there's a lot of things my brother can do, but my brother's not going to make up things he's never seen. So it has to be there. And they doubted us. They went up in the helicopter, and a day later when they came back, they said, you know what, I have lived in Japan all my life, and I have never seen that sign. And that sign was there. Yeah. And where is this, Steve?
That's in New York City 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time ago, yeah. Now, New York City is your favorite city in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was I've been about 9 times.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah, very long time.
Well, we went back to New York 2 years ago. We were commissioned by the Empire State, the CEO, Tony Malkin. They were refurbishing or renovating the top floor, the 80th floor on the Empire State. And so they kindly, well, we were very humbled because one, it's Stephen's favorite building in the world, but two, you know, to get that honor to go up onto the 80th floor and be asked to, you know, represent and show his representation of the city skyline was awesome. So we went, and a month ago, they just reopened the 80th floor. And they used the whole interior on the 80th floor using Stephen's amazing panorama. So that's a very proud moment for us. Yeah. Now that picture was very embarrassing. That was in Rome. But how long ago was that, Stephen, in Rome? I'm terrible with dates, you know, I don't remember anything. This is why whenever we go away anywhere, he comes...
About 14 years ago.
Yeah, 14, see, there you go, 14 years ago. We got lost in Canada, Toronto, a couple of years back, and I said, oh my goodness, we don't have a map, nothing. We didn't even have money to get back in a cab because we walked. Stephen wants to walk everywhere. And I said, Stephen, we're lost. And he's like, yeah, we're lost. And I said, well, how are we going to find our way back? And he said, give me a moment. And he looked up and just watched all the buildings. And he said, okay, we need to go this way. So literally just by looking at the buildings, he realized, okay, we need to go this way and that way. Because 2 weeks before, we went up in the helicopter. So that's how he knew where we were. So that was very helpful, yeah. And this was the Mayor of London?
London.
Yeah.
That's the Mayor of London City Hall in about 12 years ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Now people always ask why buildings, and I'm like, well, we're surrounded by buildings. We live in a building. We work in a building. You grow up in a building. So why not buildings? I think with Stephen, his fascination with buildings is that it never changes. It stays the same. And for him, there is that comfort because it tells a story. And so as years go on, you see buildings come down, you see buildings go up, new developments, and this is fascinating to Stephen. Some stay and become historic, iconic, like, you know, Buckingham Palace or Empire State, Chrysler Building, and so forth. And then you get newer ones coming up. And again, it's just inspirational. And I know it might be biased because he's my brother, but I actually find you incredibly inspirational, Stephen. You are my rock. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. You know, as human beings, we take things for granted. And I look at my brother, and he never complains about anything. He's just a happy, humble individual who has a beautiful talent that he takes and shares with the world. And again, it's a talent that needs no language. Everybody understands it. Everybody can relate to it. There's a history behind it. And just as much as the artist, the paper as well has just as much significance, because once you put that DNA on the paper, your thumbprint, a smudge, a mistake, it's a story. There is a story to be told. And I hope throughout the years with Stephen, you know, there'll be a lesson for people to be able to look at this and be inspired in whatever you do. You know, what is creativity? Well, creativity can be anything you want it to be. There is no right or wrong way of being creative. Whatever sparks you, whatever makes you feel good, whatever makes you go down that journey, just follow it. Follow your dream, just like Stephen has. He's believed in himself, and we have had strength through following him. And people always say to me, oh, you know what? We're so proud because you back your brother up, you support him. But what they don't realize is he's the one that's been giving me the strength to help him support himself so that I can be a better person within myself. And I say the same to the rest of you all. Don't ever give up. Believe in your dreams. And what's the motto you always say, Steve? Do the best you can and never stop. Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you.